May I begin now?
Wait. Okay, Nikki, let's begin.
Okay. Minasan, konnichiwa. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow scholars, students, welcome to the online seminar series on Japanese studies in Southeast Asia. My name is Diki, and I'm honored to be your MC for today's session. This event is proudly presented by the Center of Japanese Studies and the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. This online seminar is held as part of the International Japanese Studies Research Workshop and Symposium 2026, a program that is dedicated to exploring how studies with relation to Japan are practiced across Southeast Asia. This seminar series is held monthly and invites scholars from various universities in the region to share their research, perspective, and insights. Our aim is to showcase the diverse trends, methodologies, and scholarly approaches shaping the Japanese studies in Southeast Asian context. All the while, we also hope to nurture the cross-border dialogue and strengthen academic collaboration among researchers, students, and institutions in the region. International Japanese Studies Research Workshop and Symposium 2026 consists of three main components: the ongoing research workshop held at the Center of Japanese Studies, Universitas Indonesia, since the beginning of April, this monthly online seminar series, and an international symposium scheduled for August the 4th until 5th, 2026, at the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. Together, these events aim to foster regional academic engagement and promote the growth of Japanese studies in Southeast Asia. We are truly delighted to have you with us today, whether you are a scholar, a student, or simply passionate about Japanese studies. So let's make the most of this opportunity to connect, learn, and grow together. Without further ado, let us begin today's session. Before we go into our main agenda, let us first get to know about the organizations who have collaborated to make today's events possible. So let us watch the profile video of Center of Japanese Studies, Universitas Indonesia, and the Faculty of Humanities of Universitas Indonesia.
Minasan konnichiwa. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Center for Japanese Studies, or in Indonesian, Pusat Studi Jepang at Universitas Indonesia. Since our founding in 1995, we have been committed to deepening the mutual understanding between Indonesia and Japan through research, academic exchange, and collaborative programs. Today, with a renewed vision, we focused on three main pillars: academic activities, cultural interactions, and community services. With this broader mission, we aim to foster not only academic connections between Indonesia and Japan, but also wider cultural exchanges with communities beyond by sharing our passion for Japanese studies. We warmly invite you to join us on this journey through meaningful collaboration and shared commitment to cross-cultural understanding. Let's work together to build a more connected future. 一緒に頑張りましょう。
Since its founding in 1995, PSTUE has played a significant role in strengthening academic and cultural cooperations between Indonesia and Japan. In late 2023, we are aligning our visions and missions to better reflect Universitas Indonesia goals and broaden our role in engaging with communities. Our vision is to be leading, professional, and independent research institution built on three core pillars: academics, cultural interactions, and community engagement. These three pillars are implemented through a variety of programs and events, organized directly by PSTUE or in collaborations with strategic partners. One of our flagship programs is Kutu Buku, a book discussion series that fosters critical engagement with Japan-related academic and cultural books. In the realms of cultural interactions, we organize YYJ Culture, an event that celebrates Japanese pop culture, and the Music and Culture Seminar. which explores intersections between Japanese and Indonesian musical traditions. We work closely with the Embassy of Japan in Indonesia to present the ambassadorial lecture featuring the Japanese ambassador as keynote speaker, and the Max Scholarship Seminar, which provides valuable information about studying in Japan. In collaboration with the Japan Foundation, we hold the Japanese Studies Research Workshop and Seminar and the second International Conference of New Frontiers in Japanese Studies. Additionally, we also host one of the Associations of Japan Scope, a public lecture series on Japanese studies by the Japan Foundation's Jakarta. Together with the Japan Foundations and the Indonesian Associations for Japanese Studies, or ASTI, we also co-host the ASTI International Symposium and Seminar. With the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, and the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia, we launched the Moderator of Japan Lecture Series, while our partnership with JASO allow us to serve a certified testing center for the examinations for Japanese university admissions for international students, or AJU. With Asia to Japan, we implement the fast-over Japanese language and career training program, supporting students' professional development for careers in Japan. And in collaboration with Tsuji Culinary School and Aka Monkai Japanese Language School, we host the Japanese Business and Culture Seminar, which introduces practical insights into Japanese corporate and culinary culture. One of our greatest resources is the PSJUI Library, with the collections in Japanese, English, and Indonesian, including books, journals, and digital archives. Our library connects communities to world-class resources. These collections come from JICA, Japan Foundations, Toyo Keizai, Daido Life Foundation, the Jakarta Japan Club, the Red Japan Projects, and individuals donors. Our library is more than a space. It is a bridge between cultures. As part of our commitment to community engagement, PSJUI is making its facilities accessible not only to the university community, but also to the general public. These spaces are open for various academic, cultural, and collaborative activities, allowing more people to engage directly with our programs and resources. Thank you for your continued support. Together, let us strengthen our collaborations and build a future where academic and cultural ties between Indonesia and Japan grow ever deeper.
Universitas Indonesia is the best campus in Indonesia and one of the leading academic institutions in the world with the highest achievement in discovery, development, and diffusion of the humanities globally.
Sejalan dengan visi dan misi Universitas Indonesia, Fakultas Ilmu Pengetahuan Budaya Universitas Indonesia senantiasa menghasilkan manusia berkualitas yang memiliki kompetensi dan komitmen untuk pemajuan kebudayaan. FIBUI menjadikan kebudayaan sebagai investasi untuk membangun masa depan dan peradaban bangsa demi terwujudnya tujuan nasional sebagaimana diamanatkan Pancasila dan Undang-Undang Dasar 1945.
The faculty was originally named Fakultas Sastra or the Faculty of Letters Universitas Indonesia when it was established in 1940. In its development, the Faculty of Letters also studied cultural sciences and humanities. Thus, since 2002, its name was changed into Fakultas Ilmu Pengetahuan Budaya or the Faculty of Humanities or FIB for short, Universitas Indonesia. Academically, FIBUI also contribute to Universitas Indonesia's achievement in the 2023 QS World University Rankings by subject. In arts and humanities, FIBUI ranks first in Indonesia and fifth in Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, for modern languages, it ranks among the 200 highest institutions in the world. Similarly, in the 2024 Times Higher Education World University Rankings or the WAR by subject in arts and humanities, FIBUI ranks first in Indonesia and ranks 401 from 500 in the world. FIBUI is also committed to making the campus environment free from corruption, collusion, and nepotism through the Universitas Indonesia Zone Integrity Award and achieving a green sustainable campus through the UI Green Metric World University Rankings. As an internationally leading educational and research institution under the 7 departments studying the humanities in FIBUI, we have study programs ranging from undergraduate programs, master's degree programs, and doctoral programs. The undergraduate program aims to prepare students to become intellectuals or scientists who are able to develop themselves into professionals. The objective of the master's degree program is to create competent scientists with the ability to develop and apply the humanities. The doctoral program aims to produce graduates capable of contributing to the development and application of knowledge, technology, art, and culture to solve national problems as well as advance human civilization. The graduate programs of FIBUI always become the best talent center with the teaching staff who have professional or competency certification as well as experience as practitioners.
Belajar di program studi Indonesia dan program studi sastra Jawa FIBUI membuat kami semakin memahami dan memiliki sudut pandang baru dalam kajian bahasa nasional dan daerah. Hal ini membuat kami selalu berusaha untuk melestarikan dan memperkenalkan khasanah budaya negara kita.
Dalam perkuliahan di program studi berbasis bahasa asing, kami tidak hanya mempelajari bahasa, sastra, sejarah, dan kebudayaan negara lain, tetapi juga menumbuhkan kepekaan dan kemampuan dalam mengkaji berbagai gejala budaya, sehingga akan membekali kami dalam melanjutkan langkah kami.
Saat ini, kepustakaan juga fokus pada kajian humaniora, digital humanities, dan big data analysis yang banyak dibutuhkan oleh perusahaan nasional maupun luar negeri. Sehingga kami mampu mengelola lembaga informasi berbasis teknologi informasi dan komunikasi dengan kreatif, inovatif, dan beretika.
Kami di sini belajar meneliti dan menelaah berbagai jenis data artefak dan historis dengan berpikir secara sistematis serta bekerja sama secara profesional. Namun, yang juga penting, kami tahu bagaimana cara mengkomunikasikan hasilnya kepada masyarakat.
Lingkungan di sini membentuk karakter kami untuk mengkaji permasalahan yang relevan dengan kebudayaan. Untuk kemudian ditemukan akar masalahnya sehingga dapat dihasilkan solusi melalui analisis dan argumentasi yang terstruktur secara sahih dan benar.
Sebagai mahasiswa program magister, kami dibentuk untuk selalu berpikir kritis, solutif, dan inovatif dalam menerapkan keilmuan yang dimiliki, sehingga mampu menyelesaikan masalah sosial budaya baik dalam konteks lokal maupun global.
Dalam program doktor, kami diarahkan untuk membuat produk keilmuan yang inovatif, original, dan teruji. Selain itu, juga mampu memecahkan masalah dalam bidang keilmuan melalui pendekatan interdisiplin, multidisiplin, atau transdisiplin.
FIBUI has implemented the Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka or MBKM or the Freedom to Learn Independent Campus curriculum since 2020. Several MBKM programs for students are, among others, the Dikti flagship MBKM program and various programs initiated by FIBUI with partners, such as internship programs at domestic and foreign partner institutions, internship programs in special work units and various service units at FIBUI, as well as lectures held in collaboration with partners from abroad. We emphasize on the development of human resources through the development of students' potential to enable them to become superior academicians in the humanities. We continue to improve our services and facilities to achieve world-class standards. As for facilities and infrastructure that are in line with the SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals, FIBUI has provided renewable energy to support Green Metric UI and SDGs through the use of carport solar panels, wider 5G Wi-Fi facilities, and the application of an electronic document and archives management system. In our daily activities, we foster an atmosphere based on simplicity, mobility, adaptive learning, reputation, and technology or smart to support all FIBUI programs in producing quality graduates with technical abilities, skills, and humanistic perspectives. To achieve FIBUI's vision, we have implemented 5 programs, namely curriculum development based on adaptive and innovative education, impactful research, good governance, collaboration with the industrial community and working world, and entrepreneurship to produce graduates capable of developing the creative industry. We also continue to establish national and international collaboration to carry out various programs such as the implementation of education, student and lecturer exchange, internship, collaborative research, and many other partnership programs. FIBUI has 2 business units working in the field of language and culture, namely Lembaga Bahasa Internasional or International Language Institution and Pusat Penelitian Kemasyarakatan dan Budaya or Community and Cultural Research Center. FIBUI students conduct many non-academic activities that foster creativity, competence, and skills to complement their abilities when they become full-fledged academicians and or professionals. This is proven by the fact that many FIBUI alumni have succeeded to contribute to their science, nation, and the world. Serving with knowledge, connecting the diversity, international recognition, advancing culture, and becoming a home for diversity.
Okay. Now that we are introduced to the organization behind today's event, let us jump straight into today's agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, in this online seminar series, we will hear insights from distinguished scholars representing leading institutions in the region. In today's session, we are joined by Kitti Prasirtsuk Sensei from Thammasat University, Thailand, Beng Choo Sensei from National University of Singapore, and Idrus Sensei from Andalas University, Indonesia. And now, to lead us through today's seminar, we are pleased to introduce our moderator, Himawan Pratama, PhD. Himawan Pratama Sensei, or also known as Himawan Sensei, is a lecturer at the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. Since 2023, he has been serving as the head of the Center for Japanese Studies at the same university. He is also an active member of the Indonesian Association for Japanese Studies, or ASJ, and serves as a member of the steering committee of the Japanese Studies Association of Southeast Asia, or GSA ASEAN. Himawan Sensei obtained his PhD in Japanese Studies from Tokyo University of Foreign Studies. His research interests include cultural representation of otherness in various forms of contemporary Japanese media, spanning popular culture, mass media, and sporting narratives. Himawan Sensei, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Diki.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Himawan, a faculty member of the Japanese Studies program at the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia, and now serving as the head of the University's Center for Japanese Studies. Again, welcome to the online seminar series on Japanese Studies in Southeast Asia. This is a monthly online event with an aim to introduce the diversity of Japanese studies in the region. As introduced by Diki, this series is a part of the International Japanese Studies Research Workshop and Symposium 2026, organized by the Center for Japanese Studies and the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. Today is the first edition of the series, and we are very honored to have three distinguished speakers: Professor Kitti Prasirtsuk from Thammasat University, Professor Beng from National University of Singapore, and Dr. Idrus from Andalas University, Indonesia. In this session, we ask to all of the speakers to kindly introduce their research in and views on Japanese studies in about 20 minutes each. After that, we will enter the Q&A session where we invite all of us to participate in the discussion. Right, without further ado, let us begin by inviting our first speaker, Professor Kitti Prasirtsuk, or Kitti Sensei, who will bring a presentation titled Japan as Frontrunner, From Industrialization to Social Transformation. Allow me to read his short bio. Kitti Prasirtsuk Sensei is a professor of international relations at Thammasat University, Thailand, specializing in East Asian politics, ASEAN and Japan-Southeast Asia relations. He earned his PhD in Asian Studies from the University of California, Berkeley, and an MA from Keio University, Japan. He has held key leadership roles, including Vice Rector for International Affairs and Director of the Institute of East Asian Studies. His research focuses on soft power, public diplomacy, and regional security. He has been a visiting scholar and fellow at institutions such as USC and Kyushu University, and currently serves as a steering committee member of the JSA ASEAN. Kitti Sensei, the floor is yours.
Okay, 皆さんこんにちは. It's my pleasure to be with you this Saturday morning. Let me introduce myself a little bit more, even though Himawan has introduced me very well. I started to engage with Japanese study in the 1980s. And I went to Japan for the first time during Showa era, the last year of Showa, in 1988, studying at Tohoku University in Sendai as a Nikkensei study Japanese language and culture for 1 year. And then I went to my second time to Japan was during Heisei era in the early 1990s, studying at Keio University in Tokyo. And then my last spell in Japan was just last year. I just came back from Kyushu University as a visiting scholar, working on local development, local attraction in city and towns of Japan. That was in Reiwa era. So my engagement with Japan and Japanese studies span almost 4 decades from Showa era, Heisei era to now Heisei and Reiwa. Okay, three range of the emperor already. Okay, and I started my Japanese study as a language student. My major was Japanese language at Thammasat University during the second half of 1980s, when Japan started to invest in Southeast Asian countries, particularly Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. during that time because the yen was appreciated a lot, and Japan would like to reduce the trade friction with the United States. They relocated many production bases to Southeast Asian country. That is the starting point of our economic growth in Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Okay, that is about myself. And today I would like to share my perspective on the development of Japanese studies, particularly in Thailand, and I think it also applied to Southeast Asian country as well, more or less. Please share with me your experience in your countries, and then I will try to suggest some new approach of Japanese studies in the at present and in the future. So let me share my PowerPoint. Oops. So I have recently switched to Macintosh, so somehow it doesn't work that well.
Okay. If you need help,
can
Sensei?
the center
Okay.
open the PowerPoint
Right.
for me?
Okay,
Thank you.
Anto, can
Sorry.
you please share Kitti Sensei's PPT, please? Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So I put the title as Japan as a front runner from industrialization to social transformation. Next, please. So I have 3 parts in the presentation. So Japanese study in Thailand context, and as I said, I guess it also apply to other Southeast Asian country as well. And secondly, Japan as a front runner, and third, toward a new approach of Japanese studies. Next, please. So Japanese study in Thailand, I divided into 3 phases. The first phase, the first period, starting around 1980 or late 1970, but make it clear as 1980 toward throughout 1990s. I characterize it as a high growth period, because the major interest during that time was the effort for industrialization our countries. And at that time, Japan was at the supreme of its economic success. So we would like to learn about Japanese economy, how it's achieved its success, and about Japanese businesses management, because they came to invest extensively in the regions. And importantly, Japanese culture, Nihon Jinron, how we understand the uniqueness of the Japanese people, how they work, how they think, and unique culture of Japan, but tend to be a kind of traditional culture or work culture. And the context, Japanese economic strength, supremacy, of course, and a major actor and major demand for Japanese study during that time was teachers or instructor, professors, and the society, the country itself, that would like to gain knowledge from Japan, to understand about Japan, and then we would like to be industrialized country as soon as possible, following the Japanese model, export to other country to gain more income. The second phase would be 2000 until 2010s. I call this period as stable growth period because it's not that high growth, but still Japan Japanese study maintain its momentums, but in slightly different dimensions. Of course, the topic on Japanese investment, management, culture remain, but what emerging during this period is the high interest in Japanese pop culture, not traditional culture, but animation, manga, lifestyles, and also a fashion, J-pop, and something that led by student interest. Myself, in the early 2000s, even though I had not been trained for Japanese pop culture, but I needed to open a seminar class for master degree student on pop culture, Japanese pop culture, and I rely on help from faculty of journalism and also overseas scholars. They help me to figure out how I should advance my class on Japanese pop culture, for example. Regionalism cooperation after regionalization of production network, and then we embark on the Japan-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. We call it Economic Partnership Agreement. And also disaster also struck the region and also Japan. So this became a very important topics to study from Japan and also mutual learning and so on. But the context during that time, we have witnessed the emerging Korea pop culture, K-pop, and later on, China also emerged very strongly in terms of not only in terms of economic powers, but also nowadays cultural powers. Many people now subscribe to Chinese series in Thailand. New Chinese series, they tend to be period series. I think it's also a phenomenon in many Southeast Asian countries as well. But more in 2020, in fact, the Chinese popularity in terms of series. Anyhow, you can see that in stable growth period 2010, emerging of soft power as a major pop culture as a major interest. And during this decade of 2020s, I am not sure how I can characterize the period because it's just started. And again, my period is more arbitrary. It's not clearly divided. Many things continues, but to try to characterize, conceptualize how Japanese study have been developed, the trajectory of Japanese study. So I put the 3 phases. So this phase, it can be a healthy period of Japanese study, or it can be a recession period of Japanese study. So it's up to the current scholars of Japanese study, including myself, senior scholars, young mid-career scholar, young and rising scholar, students. We should together figure out how we conduct our research on Japanese study. In this period, I think I have seen pop culture remain a very important topics, and importantly, social changes or social transformations. Because in Southeast Asian countries like Singapore and Thailand, now we are aging. Our society has transformed pretty much low birth rate and so on, and even rural depopulation in Thailand. Issue of environment, that Japan has been excel in many ways in environment conservations and so on. So that can be the major interest. Some has been happening, some we need to cultivate even more. So the context nowadays, I think we have encountered our people, ASEAN people, have encountered with Japan more than before through tourism, visa exemptions, through social media, and Japanese food and culture that's ubiquitous in our countries. Japanese food, Japanese restaurant in Thailand, so many. If you visit any shopping mall in Thailand, you will find that you can eat, you can dine at Japanese restaurant more easily than finding a Thai restaurant, I would say. So many. But during this period, the presence of Korea and China even more stronger. That means Japan, unlike in the 1980s, where Japan stood out as the only sole major economic powerhouse, cultural powerhouse, But now, Japan also face contestation with Korea and also China. And the major actor and the demand, some not happening yet. I think we need to cultivate the demand as well to show the society, to show the country that study Japan in this way is important to our country. So I guess students remain the major actor, teachers, professor, instructor, and also the society, the nation itself should be the major actors. And I will elaborate the three phase a little bit more. So next, please. So the first phase in the 1980, we tend to, we want to understand Japan uniqueness, Japanese identity, why Japan achieved a miracle of economic success. And we want to learn from its success and try to imitate as much as possible, try to model our development, our export-oriented industrializations based on Japanese model. So the first book, very important, Japan as the number one, by Professor Ezra Walker of Harvard University, set the trend, the trajectory of the Japanese study during the 1980 toward 1990. Japan as the number one. Ezra Walker published in 1979. And then book like The Art of Japanese Management. The third book here in Thai, Japanese Management, they use the picture of sumo wrestler and samurai sword to show the character of Japan, to be traditional. And even later, not 1990, in 2000, we still see some book like Toyota Production System still being released as like a model, good model for manufacturing industry. Next, please. And for the industrializations, I think many of you have heard about the flying geese model of industrialization, whereby Japan as a leader, and they invested extensively in many countries, and those countries came to grow and develop as export countries. Japan as the leader. So the picture on the left, probably in the 1980-90, because Japan was the leader and China follow behind quite far away. But nowadays, in the right picture, you can see that China now achieved considerable growth. Even this year, they still achieve more than 5%, 6% growth, whereby Japan has been stagnated for the past 3 decades. Okay, next, please. And Japan represented a prototype of industrialization. So many books like East Asian Miracle, this published by World Bank. The book Developmental State, Japan as the developmental state, the role of Japanese bureaucracy in developing its economy, export-oriented industrialization. Notable example would be Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia. He came up with Look East policy to look at Japan and to a lesser extent Korea, Taiwan, that succeeded in export-oriented industrializations. And Malaysia just celebrated the 40th anniversary of Look East policy just a few years ago. Next, please. And this, you can see Japanese investment has been extensive. Whatever your industrial estate you visited, you will see a lot of Japanese plants, factory like this in Thailand, Toyota, Panasonic, Daikin, and Kubota. Kubota seem to do very well in tractor, agricultural machines. Next, please. And meanwhile, Japan also came to be a model in social aspect as well. In terms of middle class, Japan became the first middle class nation in Asia, and then followed by Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, and then ASEAN. More and more people can be considered middle class nowadays, and they have some pattern of consumptions. We tend to follow the style of Japan as well. Next, please. And with the increasing middle class, we see more new pattern of consumptions. And also we have seen fusion of culture and consumption in everyday life of, let's say, Thai people here. We fusions Thai tea and Japanese tea, green tea, matcha. On the right picture, you can see the restaurant scene. It's not Japan. It's in Thailand. You can see from the table. It looks so Thai, but the decorations, the food offered, quite Japanese. And in shopping mall, as I said earlier, so many Japanese restaurants in Thai shopping malls. Next, please. And Japanese manga from even in fact from 70, 80, but it has become the topic of research interest during 2000s onward. Japanese manga, and now boy love, girl love manga also became very popular since 2000 also. And nowadays, Thailand very popular and famous for, we call series wise, boy love series and girl love series. I think they have been inspired by GL, girl love, boy love manga from Japan as well. Next, please. And this the cultural influence from Japan. You can see the Thai manga, the three Thai manga that I show you that has been drawn and produced by Thai cartoonists, but very, very Japanese. And also cosplay came to be very popular in Thailand. Next, please. And not only in Thailand, in Vietnam and in Laos, they also subscribe to a cosplay manga festival as well. Next, please. And the AKB48 phenomenon, the big girl group, different from Korea. Korea tend to be 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 48, like a 30, 40. Taipei 48, BNK 48, MNL Manila 48, and also Jakarta JKT 48 as well. But sorry, this may be the old generation. I have not updated yet. Next, please. And I think in this current period, many social change have been happening in Southeast Asia, not at the same pace. Countries like Singapore and Thailand experience a little bit faster than other Southeast Asian nations in terms of demographic change, aging populations. The top is the Japan demographic change from 1960, 2010, 2060 is that estimation. The bell has been in the opposite side now. And on the right, top right is the last year Japan demographic trend, which has been the opposite bell already. It's not. And in Thailand, you can see that we are following Japan very swiftly. Now we have low birth rate, really low birth rate. In the past 2 years, our population shrinked about almost 500,000, about 500,000 in the past 2 years each. I mean, 500,000 each. So now Thai population has shrinked. Next, please. And you can see the scenario of Southeast Asia or Asia in general. Japan, the top runner in terms of aging. Next, South Korea. And number 3, Thailand. You see, in the next 4 years, by 2030, we will have as many as 30%, more than 30% people above 60 years old, including myself. China, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, not that high, but it's coming, you know. Indonesia, 30%, 13%, not that high, but it's coming. Next, please. So Japan as a front runner, I mean, not only in terms of industrialization, as we know very well, so Japan also a front runner in terms of social transformation. Environment problem, Japan faced the problem first and they solved the issue quite well in terms of pollution during 1950, 1960. But for social transformation, that quite a long span and more complicated and quite requiring many attention, innovation for solutions. So a front runner like Japan faces the consequence of development without a roadmap. In terms of environment, social transformation, aging, low birth rate, rural depopulation, hikikomori, like the one who just want to stay, young people who want to stay at his or her room without going out, juvenile crimes, bullying in school, a lonely death, kodokushi. I will show you in the next slide. But Japan has passed through trial and error. So we can learn good practices and also lesson learned, the success and failure that Japan experienced in dealing with social transformations. So it can be a good policy learnings for Southeast Asia. Next, please. And in terms of aging society, Japan tried to innovate its society social arrangement to cope with ultra super aged society, not aging, it's aged society. And Japan tried to transform super aging society into super smart city. Not only seniors home activities, but they try to incorporate senior people to work in community, even to work in company, try to utilize their energies, which they were very happy to do so. And on the top, this picture, the top whereby people are sitting, they innovated some co-housing unit for the senior and young people. Young people can pay lesser than the senior people. They need to take care of the senior people somewhat, but not too much. More like a friends, like a visitor to check if the elderly is doing okay. That's quite a good innovation, rather than having the senior people living by themselves. They can live with young people and they can exchange, they can fresh up themselves somehow. And the young people also benefited from saving some of their renting expense, for example. Quite a good innovation. Next, please. And this to show the many problems in the social transformation in Japan as well. Kodokushi, or lonely death, dying alone. Last year, it was reported that some more than 77,000 people, Japanese people, found death alone in their homes. So we do not like that kind of situation to be the problems anywhere in Southeast Asia as well. School bullying, I think, came to be more problem in country like Thailand. I don't know if happen in your country as well, but I doubt, I suspect that might happening. Next, please. And in Japanese small cities and towns, they created a lot of attractions for tourists, particularly Southeast Asia tourists, Chinese tourists, even Western tourists. They innovated creating contents. They have many good ways to promote their localities. And that was the topic of my research last year that allowed me to travel to many towns, many cities to interview, to talk with people, how they develop their tourist attractions, which also the topic in a country like Thailand. We really develop our tourism, not only concentrated on Chiang Mai, Pattaya, Phuket, Bangkok, but to smaller province, smaller cities. Next, please. So, toward a new approach of Japanese studies. So, I think I have three things on here. So, Japan as a living lab. Japan as a living lab, because we can observe, Southeast Asia can observe our own future in Japan current social landscape, so that we can prepare ourselves. We can learn what to do, how to do. And Japan is not a static subject of study, but a longitudinal study of Asian modernity and Asian development. Let's say since the post-war period, 80 years ago, from the 1950 or so, you see that we can look at Japan in a long time span, and how it's developed, and what status we are in that kind of longitude time span. Secondly, Japan-Asia nexus. So area studies tend to be a silo. It used to tend to be the silo. Japan, Southeast Asia, separate entirety. Korea, Japan, China, Taiwan, and so on. But instead, we should take a comparative framework that treats Asian modernity, Asian development as a continuum of shared structural challenges. But it can happen to us later than Japan, right? It's a stage of development. Next, please. So, Southeast Asia as a site of Japanese study. I would like to gain attention, particularly from Southeast Asian students of Japanese studies. In fact, when you want to study about Japan, you do not have to necessarily go to Japan always. You can look at the research resources about Japan in your country, in Southeast Asia. For example, investment patterns, Japanese investment. And you can see the development of Japanese economy, the character of Japanese business that has been changes, evolving over time. By look at the case study in Southeast Asia. For example, another thing, long stay. Many Japanese come to long stay in countries like Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and also Philippines, for example. And you can also look at the Japanese salaryman overseas, their lifestyles, which I will show you a short clip. Please allow me to show this short clip. Local consumptions, how Japanese culture has been received in your own countries, how we localize Japanese culture in our countries. Can be food, can be manga, can be other things. Japan towns in Southeast Asia, it can be comparative studies. Even my field, defense corporations, Japan, Philippines, Japan, Malaysia, Japan, Indonesia, Japan, Thailand. Now with we have President Trump's, and now I think we need to work more with other countries like Japan, Australia, and so on. And that can be the resource of study. We do not have to always go to Japan because the scholarship, the funding, travel grants tend to be limited, but we can still do it. And I would like to suggest that Professor, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, and overall, we can make some big project together and recruit our students to the main frame of the project of study Japan in Southeast Asia, Japan in your own countries. And that can be a good start for Japanese study. And we can ask for funding from Japan Foundation, Nippon Foundations, Sumitomo Foundation, for example. I'm afraid I'm over time, but just show the clip that I have given just for 15 seconds or something like that. It's the Gohang, the movie, now very big hit in Thailand and gonna be released in Indonesia very soon. It's about a story about a dog And the first owner of the dog was the Japanese. Or I have one PowerPoint remain, or I can finish my PowerPoint first and then just show the clip. So concluding statement for me, to align with the theme rethinking area study to Japan, rethinking area study to Japan. I think we do not just learn from Japan. We learn about the systemic trajectory of Asian development, Asian modernity. And Japan provide a mirror in which Southeast Asia country can view its own upcoming challenges and prepare its own context-grounded solutions. I don't mean that we need to follow Japan blindly. It cannot happen. We need to adjust to our context as well. But Japan provide a very important clue how to cope with the upcoming challenges. So I ended with the question to all of you. What are the challenges facing your country now and the near future? And how or would studying Japan be helpful to cope with such challenges? I think I would like to input this to your perspective. And I really end with just a short clip, YouTube, Gohang movie trailer that portray the life of a Japanese with a dog in Thailand. Very good movie. I recommend you watch it.
Thank you, Kitti Sensei. Anto, could you please play the video?
Sorry?
Anto, can you help playing the video?
Can you play that?
Oh, yeah. We're on that, Sensei. Just a moment.
Sorry, I went over time a bit, but just...
No, that's fine. Okay. So the video, I think, will be ready.
Chibi-chan, 遊び行こっか。乾杯。ว้ายโอ้ยบักมานี่แม่สมจริงๆขอโทษนะครับสีขนสีขาวมึงเข้าเลย君の名前はごはんくんだごはんくんผมเล่นได้แค่ช็อกขาวเดี๋ยวต้องกลับไปทำงานที่ญี่ปุ่นแล้ว
ให้สถานีมาละ
Okay, that's okay. That is the life of a dog, Gohang, during their childhood. So they live with a Japanese salaryman, the old Japanese salaryman, who really want to continue to work. He finished his assignment in Thailand. He want to go back to find some job in Japan, still continue working, like work alcoholic, like a traditional Japanese. But he fell in love with a dog and he decided to remain in Thailand. Easy, take it easy, living enjoyable with a dog. So that quite a good movie that shows Japanese thinking and a lot of Japanese language in that movie. But it's not Japanese movie, it's Thai movie. Okay, with that I ended my presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Kitti Sensei. Thank you, Kitti Sensei, again for sharing your views on the development of first Japan-Thailand relationship and how Japanese studies in the country reflects the dynamics. It is interesting how you describe Japan as a front runner, as you said in the title, not only in development but also in facing social and environment transformations. And I think Kitti Sensei closes by urging the need for Southeast Asian countries to prepare our future and the need for a new approach for Japanese studies by including the role of Southeast Asia. We will dig more on that in the Q&A session. But next, we will invite our second speaker, Professor Beng Choo from the National University of Singapore. Beng Choo Sensei will bring a presentation titled Japan, Japanese Studies, and Singapore. Before we proceed, please let me read her short bio. Dr. Beng Choo is Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Japanese Studies at the National University of Singapore. She earned her PhD and MA from Cornell University. Her research focuses on pre-modern Japanese literature, particularly no theater, as well as modern and contemporary Japanese performing arts and their entanglement with modern technology. Her scholarship explores performance, cultural history, and cultural representations across periods. She currently serves as a member of the steering committee of the Japanese Studies Association of Southeast Asia, or JSA ASEAN. Limbenju Sensei, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to this talk series, and I would like to express my gratitude to Himawan Sensei for organizing this months long lecture series, and also I'm very honored to be invited to to share my research. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So let me just start by sharing my screen. Sorry, not working. Okay, I think I can share my screen now. And wait.
Do you need any help?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
I had some problem yesterday, so I sort of disabled.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I may have to leave and then I'll come back. I'm so sorry.
Right, okay. Okay. Since Benchu Sensei is having a technical trouble, I think we need to wait for a bit for her to come back. Good. Is Benchu Sensei already joining us again?
Yes,
No. Okay. Okay. Benchu Sensei, welcome back.
I'm so sorry. I'm so glad that this is yeah, yesterday I'm very sorry, everyone. Yesterday I was having problem with my Zoom, and I thought that there is some virus, so I was very scared and immediately disabled everything and have problem trying to disable again. Play from start. Okay, I can absolutely share my screen and go here. Allow. Yes, please allow. Okay. Can everyone see my screen, please? Perfect.
Yes, it's clear.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to read from my other computer. So, well, aratamete, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for coming to this lecture series. I am okay. Everyone can see my screen, yeah? So, this is my topic: Japan, Japanese Studies, and Singapore, localizing agents in cultural diplomacy. In fact, I was very excited when I was listening to Kitti Sensei's presentation, because I realized that we have some similar grounds. So I will go there when, in my last so I'm going to tell myself, I will go there in my last slide. And Okay. So this particular research topic is a rather recent project motivated by a few reasons that I'll describe later. So I have to say that rather than presenting a finalized research with conclusions, today's presentation is more like a work in progress report. And like I say, I'm going to echo Kitti Sensei's ideas at the end of my presentation. So this is the outline of my presentation today. I will first explain very briefly the background and motivation of this project, and I would like to talk a little bit about the objectives of why I'm doing this project called Japanese Studies, and then going back to the big topic of cultural diplomacy. And then the second part of my presentation, I will show you a few local agents, and then like what do they do, and why do I call them local agents? And I will also explain the methodology that I will be using in working on this particular project. So instead of a conclusion, I will make a few observations and comments to wrap up the presentation. Now, when I think about the background of this particular current research, there's actually three main factors that makes me think about doing this particular research and, in studying local agents in the Japanese cultural events in Singapore. And these are the 3 points, but I will provide more detailed information here. So first and foremost, last year, my colleague, Dr. Clay Eaton, he presented a very detailed and insightful description and discussion of the Japanese studies in Singapore. And I believe that this is a very, very comprehensive coverage and provided a good understanding to audiences of what has been done, specifically with a focus on NUS, on the university. So we are able to look at the academic institution's most direct relationship with Japan and with Japanese studies through Dr. Clay Eaton's presentation. So what I think we could do within following Clay's steps is to go beyond the academic discourse and look at the importance of Japan and Japanese studies to not just Singapore, but also to Southeast Asia. So I thought that perhaps we want to look at the Japan-Singapore relationship from a different perspective, which is cultural events in the framework of cultural diplomacy. I mean, earlier on, Himawan Sensei also introduced my field. I am very interested in performance, and I'm also very interested in the meaning and the implications of cultural events. So then naturally, I thought that I should try to use cultural diplomacy as a conceptual framework to conduct this project of understanding the local players, local agents, or local actors in the cultural events, in the Japanese cultural events. And everyone knows that cultural diplomacy is a critical and complicated issue that has been studied and discussed and researched and challenged over and over and over again. right? So it is closely related to everyone in any nation on different level with different kind of intensity and impact. And so, so I thought that I would sort of like first provide this like very complex definition of cultural diplomacy as defined by the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy based in Europe. And this is the source for this citation. But at the same time, I've also found another definition, which is by Vallejo Franco in his book on Japanese cultural on Japanese cultural agents, or he called them actors in Spanish-speaking countries. So in his introduction, he defined cultural diplomacy as the official activities nations use to present, represent, and spread information about their identities transnationally. So through the cooperation of state and non-state actors to achieve a set of predetermined goals. So this highlight is mine. And I thought that, while my intention of developing this project is slightly different from what Vallejo Franco is doing, but I think that this framework of this conceptual framework could be useful in guiding what I'm hoping to do. So the third reason why I am developing this particular project is because, as I said earlier on, there is a digital humanities project awaiting revival. Yes, awaiting revival. Now, this is the digital humanities project in question, 50 years of Japanese performances in Singapore, 1965 to 2015, an overview. I created this digital humanities project, my very first one, with a team of library colleagues. And what we did in this project was to collect data of visiting Japanese performances to Singapore, everything except pop culture. No J-pop concerts, no cosplay events, but just like anything else. So that includes like ballet, orchestra, kabuki. So it's a very wide spectrum. And the reason why we didn't include pop culture was because we feel that we wanted to highlight the fact that other than popular culture, there are other forms of Japanese performances visiting Singapore. So that was what happened then. So that was what we restricted within this particular project. And of course, it being a very first project, there was a lot of trial and errors. So we decided to expand the project and renamed it Japanese Performances in Singapore, Cultural Interactions and Beyond. And this was we expanded the scope, and in terms of like timing, and also we added a few visualization tools to the components that were incorporated into the project. Like I say, the basic structure of the project is to provide metadata to performances in Singapore. So we have detailed records of who came, when did they come, where did they perform, how long was the performance as the core central data. And together with this core central data, we provided information on the venues, on the sponsors, and also on the was one more. I'm sorry, I can't remember the last one more component. But what I would like to zoom in here is to show you this. So this is in our project. We have a page that discusses the so-called organizers of the Japanese performances that came to Singapore. So this is, we have described these like sponsors. You would see in the in the next slide that there are a lot of, you see in this slide, this is just an example that, on the page that introduce we so-called organizers of all these cultural events or these performances, right? They are organizers, but they are also, so we use the term organizer to describe any institutions or organizations that coordinate, support financially or in kind, and organize and collaborate, etc. That any organizations that have some part to play in bringing in the performances. So this was what I have done in this project. Now so this project is kind of like completed with some technical, like some serious technical hiccup. So I'm still in a process of like trying to fix this particular project, although it can still be looked at like sporadically. Now, then it leads to my question. That how does this like previous 3 points like connect to what I'm hoping to do, which is to look at local agents and local actors in the transmission of cultural events from Japan to Singapore. Building on this existing data as they are, and also what we have already learned, I hope to in this new like relatively new project on identifying local agents within the framework of cultural diplomacy, I hope to examine the significance and functions of local institutional support of cultural activities. So in the shaping and understanding of Japan, Singapore, and by extension, Japan-ASEAN, Japan-Southeast Asia relationship. And also to consolidate existing data on sponsors, right, which I've explained earlier on, sponsors from my earlier digital projects. And I think I just wanted to say one thing here, that I think it is very important to understand, number one, cultural events, especially in current climates of like when there's a constant almost struggle between cultural events, such as humanities approaches, and the use of like artificial intelligence. So that's that. But I'm not going there. I am just going to continue and explain to you, like, and provide a little bit more details about the current project. So what do I mean by local agents, right? And this is I will start with sharing with you one example. This is the JCCI website, the Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Singapore. JCCI is as you see, an organization of like business, essentially, yeah? So, and they have a very like complicated and comprehensive mailbox webpage. The JCCI was established in 1969, and their objectives, I have copied this from their website. Their objectives include like promoting economic exchanges between Japan and Singapore, contribute to the development of Japanese companies in Singapore, and also foster exchange and fellowship among members. And then within the JCCI structure, there is JCCI Singapore Foundation, which offers scholarship and sponsorship. So it is a very, I was actually thinking about the roles and function of JCCI as an agent or as an actor in facilitating Japanese, or by extension other forms of like cultural events in Singapore. And how does JCCI collaborate with local agents to bring in and to facilitate these cultural activities. So what I'm trying to say here is JCCI illustrates clear roles in the promotion of local cultural activities and also scholarships for students to study in Japan. And what the kind of sponsorship that JCCI does is very wide. And for example, they provide scholarships for students to study in Japan for a year. And then they also provide fundings for cultural events. We have always been applying, the Department of Japanese Studies in NUS is always applying to JCCS to JCCI for funding to support our cultural events such as the Sado or Buyo activities. So I think that it is very clear that JCCI has served an active role in the cultural diplomacy of Japan. So JCCI is one example, and I would like to show there are other examples, from my digital humanities project, and I could try to let me try to find. I am going to I'm going to go to the site and show you some of the examples of these other agents. So I'm going to stop sharing. Please bear with me.
That's fantastic.
Okay, I am going to change the screen so you can see the you can see the oh good Lord. Here we go. Okay. I hope everyone can see. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it's
So
clear.
thank you. This is one of the charts that this is one of the visualization tools that we have shown, sponsors of Japanese performances. So as I said, there are a lot of data issues, and therefore this is not I do not think that this is an accurate representation of what is going on. So what I was going to do is actually this. Oh no, this is. So this is the page that I was showing you, and so this is like a little bit of the. So you see, as you can see, I hope you can see, this is a humongous long list of organizations that have been involved in some kind of Japanese performances in Singapore. So I have identified a few places, like for example, the Esplanade Theater on the theater on the bay at the bay. So this is like they do things in like every year, or for example the Japan Creative Center. So they have done like a lot. I support a lot of like events too. So and one more place that the NAC, the national NAC is a Singapore organization. So NAC also sponsor, a lots of like events here. Now, the reason of my sharing this particular page is to illustrate that there's a lot of players, plenty, right? We have commercial, like industry and business players. We have a organization like Japan Creative Center, which is a representative of the Japanese embassy and also of the Japanese embassy. And then there's the National Arts Council, which is the Singaporean organization, the Art Council, and as well as like Esplanade as a performance venue. So I'm going to go back to my slide now, if I am able to. Stop share, go back to my slide. Here we go. Okay, sorry. I think I'm a little bit running over already, but okay, very quickly. So my point really here, what I'm trying to say here is that these local agents, local meaning that they are like physically situated in Singapore, they play various roles and very complicated. Now, in order to create a meaningful project, I need to ask questions. So these are my questions, right? So I start with this set of questions. Okay, so what are the correlations between the nature of supporting agents and the cultural projects that they are sponsoring? For example, JCCI, as a business and industry organization, do they prioritize events that are more related to business and industry? Or if an events management company, organize a cosplay event, which is clearly very popular, as Kitti Sensei has mentioned in his presentation, that this cosplay event and invited Japanese cosplayer to Singapore. Do we want to establish a causal relationship between the company and the event? What kind of like integration, interactive relations do these companies have with the projects that they are doing? So, and then, what kind of support, what kind of frequency and timing of support, and what kind of interactions amongst the different participating agents, etc. These are the questions that I want to ask when I collect the data. And, and this is in hope to sort of find an answer to find a narrative that is relatively comprehensive to describe the localization of Japanese cultural projects in Singapore and hopefully in Southeast Asia, so that we get a better understanding of the importance of like cultural events between Singapore and Japan, and understand our identities better. So in terms of methods, I plan to do a quantitative data collections and then use visualization and interactive tools to illustrate each local agent's involvement. But the limitations is, of course, that the data is not that easy to collect, and also we need technical know-how, right? And what I wanted to say, really, if the objective is to examine ultimately the impact and implication of local agents in the practice of cultural diplomacy in Southeast Asia, and using Singapore as one case study, I think this one case study of Singapore alone will not be strong enough as a representative. So now I'm echoing Kitti Sensei's proposal that I'm going to go to my last point, combined analysis of similar data in Southeast Asia. Could we? And I think that this my proposed project, my current project, which is examining the roles of the resident or local agents or actors in facilitating Japanese cultural activities in Singapore, is I want to use this project as a way to better understand the Japanese cultural diplomacy, so that we can understand like how do one similar cultural event or one particular performance genre would be differently presented or be differently presented and received in different countries? And how do we, or is there any, like what kind of interactive reactions can we see within the presentation of these cultural events? And, especially, focusing on the roles and functions of the organizers or the agents. So and it will, I believe that, such an examination will allow both, Japan and us, our region, understand better each other's identity and each other's policies. And this will absolutely be, let me quote Kitti Sensei one more time. And studying Japan, and is it helpful? This will definitely be very helpful in our own development, and also very helpful in our own development in this like difficult current world situation. And so therefore I totally echo and support Kitti Sensei's urging of this like a bigger project together. Maybe we can do this bigger project of studying local agents in cultural activities. So with that question, I close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Beng Sensei, for presenting your ongoing research in digital humanities, particularly on Japanese performances in Singapore. It is interesting that the project highlights local agents and actors, which I think reveals the multidimensionality of Singapore or Southeast Asia relations with Japan, or that the relationship includes more than official agents. I think the project also observes the practices of localization in Singapore-Japan cultural relations. So I'm sure that your research will bring an important discussion for Japanese studies in Southeast Asia. We wish you success with the project and look forward to hearing more about the project in the future. Okay, thank you, Beng Sensei. Now we will move on to our third speaker, Dr. Idrus from Andalas University, Indonesia. Idrus Sensei's presentation is titled Japan-Indonesia Cultural Exchanges Through Translations, the Case of Onomatopoeia. Wait. I think I'm having a bit of wait. Di apa jadi? Oh, okay. Okay, so sorry for that. Okay. Before I invite Idrus Sensei, please let me read his short bio. Idrus Sensei is a lecturer in the Japanese literature program at Universitas Andalas, Indonesia, specializing in translation studies, semiotics, pragmatics, and social linguistics. He earned his bachelor's degree in Japanese literature from Universitas Padjadjaran, Indonesia, a master's degree in linguistics from Universitas Indonesia, and a PhD in international and advanced Japanese studies from the University of Tsukuba, Japan. His research focuses on Japanese-Indonesian translation, discourse analysis, and language use in cultural context, including studies on manga translation. He is actively engaged in academic publications and scholarly forums related to Japanese language and cultural studies. Idrus Sensei, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. The floor is yours.
Himawan Sensei, thank you very much for introducing me in such detail. Let me share my PPT for today. Okay. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and respected college. It is an honor to have the opportunity to present a topic situated at this intersection of language, visual expression, and popular culture entitled Japan-Indonesian Cultural Exchange through translation in the case of Onomatopoeia. Okay, before proceeding to the main discussion, I would like to outline the content and overall flow of this presentation and display on the screen. In this presentation, I will discuss how cultural exchange between Japan and Indonesia take place through the translation of onomatopoeia, particularly in adventure manga. Onomatopoeia, whether used to express sound, moods, or visual effect, plays a crucial role in shaping how readers experience manga. Interestingly, when these onomatopoeic expressions are translated into Indonesian, the process goes beyond mere equivalence. In many cases, it leads to the creation of new forms which have gradually become part of Indonesian culture. The Japanese language has a rich system onomatopoeia. Kitti classifies Japanese onomatopoeia into 5 categories: Giongo, Giseigo, Gitaigo, Gijogo, and Gyogo. When Candy was translated into Indonesian in 1990s, Indonesia readers were for the first time exposed on a large scale to the distinctive style of Japanese onomatopoeia. And then the arrival of manga titles such as Doraemon, Detective Conan, and One Piece has further strengthened this exposure. Moving on the scope and main data of the study, the focus of this research is on Japanese adventure manga in their official Indonesian translation because this genre is especially rich in onomatopoeic expression. For the primary data, the manga titles have been selected to represent different writing style and generation, as well as different narrative context. The first text is Doraemon, the second text is Detective Conan, the third text is One Piece. In this study, the onomatopoeia taken as data are those located outside the speech balloon, that is, the sound effect word embedded directly in the panels and image rather than inside characters' dialogue. By analyzing these 3 titles together, the study aimed to provide a comprehensive picture of how Japanese onomatopoeia is translated into Indonesian across different narrative contexts in manga. 3 main objectives guide this research. First, to explain the strategies used in translating Japanese onomatopoeia into Indonesian, including substitution, phonemic adaptation, hybridization, and creation of new forms. Second, to analyze changes in sound representation and typography such as capitalization, vowel lengthening, drop thickness, and layout, which together construct visual sound effect in manga. Third, to demonstrate how translation has given rise to new onomatopoeic form now actively used in local comic, popular media, and even product naming in Indonesia. In this study, I employ a descriptive qualitative research designed to examine how Japanese onomatopoeic forms are translated into Indonesian and how this translation process serves as a medium of popular culture exchange between the 2 countries. This approach is chosen because onomatopoeia is not merely a linguistic phenomenon, still a multimodal one, expressed through sound, graphic form, and typographic visualization within comic panels. To conduct the analysis, I compiled a corpus of onomatopoeia from the original Japanese version, then I matched this form with their corresponding expression in the Indonesian translation. To maintain analytical focus, the data are categorized into 3 types of scene: natural phenomena, explosion, and character appearances. This study now does not focus solely on lexical equivalent in the 3 types of scene discussed. It also pays close attention to how changes in phonetics, vowel, and consonant lengths, letter capitalization, typographic weight, and the placement of onomatopoeia within comic panel contribute to the transmission of sound effect to Indonesian readers. The analytical process began by identifying onomatopoeic expression in the Japanese source text and then matching them with their counterpart in the Indonesian translation. Based on this paired data, I examined recurring pattern of change, the translation strategies employed, and the shift in visual auditory meaning that emerged during translation. Through this approach, the study clearly illustrates how the translation onomatopoeia function as a site of cultural exchange, in which Japanese sound elements are reworked by Indonesian translator, creativity giving rise to new forms that now actively circulate within Indonesian comic and popular culture. I will now move on the result section, which is organized into three main sections as displayed on the screen. In the first category, natural phenomena, I want to spotlight how rain, sound, and water droplets get translated from Japanese to Indonesian. In Indonesia, in Japanese, onomatopoeia like za capture the sound of heavy downpour, while potsuri signal a single drop of light rain. When they shift into Indonesian comic, they undergo some pretty big phonetic makeovers. For example, za becomes zas, tas, or even dras. It's not a literal swap. It's all about matching what feels louder and more vivid to Indonesian readers. Adding extra vowel like a or consonant like s, z, or the combo zr amps the sound of pounding rain, the spread of falling water, and that intense vibe in the panel. Meanwhile, Japanese potsuri for a tiny droplet become test in Indonesia. It is short, snappy, and super familiar to local readers, nailing the soft, gentle drip from the original. What really cool is that from the dras or sas didn't even exist in Indonesian onomatopoeia before manga translation came along. So translating in this category isn't just about copying sound, it's creating brand new ones that have now become the standard in Indonesian comic. On top of that, visual context plays a huge role in picking the right form. For instance, heavy rain, urban rain scene often use harsher variant such as dras. This shows that translators aren't just thinking about phonology, they are also planning into the mood and panel dynamic. All in all, natural phenomena category prove that onomatopoeia translation isn't mechanical. It's a creative process that bursts fresh sound now back into the comic reading experience in Indonesia. In the next category, explosion, I found that Japanese onomatopoeia undergoes the most dramatic transformation when translated into Indonesian. This category covers big explosion sound, hard impact, and even visual energy effect, all crucial elements in adventure genre like Conan and One Piece in Japanese. Forms like boom, dagun, dong are used to depict different sound intensities from close range blast to massive boom effect. When translated into Indonesian, they transform into blah, duar, and doom. What's fascinating is how translators use vowel length, a, u, capitalization, and bold lettering to create a stronger, more vivid sound sensation for Indonesian readers. For example, the long echoing dagun get translated into duar with double vowel a, signaling a wide, intense boom. Furthermore, forms like blar and duar have become the new standard in Indonesian comic. This now appear not just in translated comic, but also in local manga style comic. This means onomatopoeia translation in this category directly shape a new sound vocabulary in Indonesian visual culture. Lastly, the panel visual context also influenced the choice of worm. Close-range explosion tend to use rounder, heavier vowel like doom, while large, widespread explosion more often use expanded form like blah. This shows that translators consider not only the sound direction and distance from the sound source, but also the scale of the image in the panel. Thus, the explosion category, we feel that Japanese to Indonesian onomatopoeia translation is highly creative hybridization process and one of the clearest points at which cultural exchange occur. Japanese sounds are processed and modified, then live as a new identity in Indonesian comic. The next category is onomatopoeia that mark a character appearances. Just don't just describe sound, they create visual impact or atmosphere for an entry into a scene. In Japanese manga, forms like don or ban are used very frequently when a character appears suddenly, when a scene shifts dramatically, or when artists want to emphasize an important moment. The sound works as kind of dramatic marker that strengthens the visual momentum. When translated into Indonesian, this become variants such as dong. The vowel length here isn't random. It represents the vowel. It represents the level of shock or the weight of the scene. For example, dong is used for heavier, more dramatic scenes, such as the introduction of a key character or a major plot twist. What's fascinating is the presence of drang, which actually doesn't come from Japanese at all. Drang is a creative invention by Indonesian translator, inspired by the distinctive sound of percussion instrument or guitar play dramatically. In Indonesian comic, drang is extremely popular for making reveal moments, plot twists, or a character stylish entrance. This form has no direct equivalent in the Japanese text. However, it's still used because it's easily recognizable and highly effective at creating a dramatic effect for reader. From this finding, it is clear that the translation strategy in this category doesn't just preserve the original function of Japanese onomatopoeia, it's also adapt to Indonesian readers' cultural taste. Translators choose forms that not only sound natural but also evoke the same emotional resonance as the original panel visual effect. Thus, the character appearance category shows how translation can produce creative forms that don't just copy, but also modify and even create new sound identities. Onomatopoeia like dong and especially drang have now become part of Indonesian comic visual convention, demonstrating just how powerful translation role is in Indonesian popular cultural exchange. So what does this mean for linguistic and the creative industry? The final part of this research, we feel one of the most fascinating findings, the birth of new onomatopoeia in Indonesian comic as a direct result of Japanese manga translation. This means translation doesn't just transfer sound, it becomes a creative space that birth new form, which then spread throughout Indonesian popular cultural ecosystem. In Indonesian comic inspired by manga style, both print and digital, we find various onomatopoeia that were previously uncommon or didn't exist at all in Indonesia. For example, King is an adapting of the Japanese scene, depicting a silent or quiet atmosphere. This form became extremely popular and easily recognizable to Indonesian readers. Another example is blush. Its global loan works widely used in Indonesian manga to indicate blushing face or romantic situation. Moving on the next slide, and this is where things get even more interesting. This onomatopoeia innovation don't stop at comics. Several forms have split into other areas of popular culture, like advertisement, memes, and product naming. For instance, clean is used for glass cleaning product. Geprek marks the texture of crust or pounded food, and whoosh describes speed. It even been adopted as the name of for public transportation. This shows that onomatopoeia from comic blend seamlessly with branding needs and commercial communication style. This phenomenon reveals that Japanese manga translation doesn't just impact linguistic form on comic page, it also creates a new visual auditory vocabulary in Indonesian culture. Adapted onomatopoeia have become part of everyday language, part of social media humor style, and even part of commercial product identities. Thus, the birth of new onomatopoeia demonstrate that manga translation has become one of the key engine driving popular cultural exchange between Japan and Indonesia. Now let's move into the discussion section where we dive deeper into what this finding really means. Forms like Zras, Duar, and Jreng show that translation creates an Indonesian sound identity. It's not just copying Japanese. Second, onomatopoeia in manga is multimodal, so translation doesn't stop at the word itself. Double vowel, capitalization, letter boldness, and even placement within the panel, all of those work together to translate sound into visual form. 3. Over time, adaptive forms like blood, duar, dong, and jreng have become the new standard in Indonesian comic. This form then spread into social media, webtoon, and even advertisement. This means manga has contributed to change in the visual and sound vocabulary in Indonesian popular culture. 4. This finding underscores that translators need to master not just language, but also cultural sensitivity, typography. The Indonesian comic industry now has the opportunity to develop a distinct local onomatopoeia identity inspired by Japan, but not depend on it. Let's wrap up the conclusion. Overall, the study show that translating onomatopoeia from Japanese to Indonesian is not just a linguistic process, but an active form of cultural exchange. Through strategies of substitution and phonemic adaptation, Japanese onomatopoeia is reworked to give rise to new sound forms such as Zras, Blar, Duar, Dong, Jreng, and Blush, which now live and widely used in Indonesian comic and popular media. This demonstrates that manga serves as crucial pathway for sound innovation, the formation of new visual auditory identities, and the enrichment of contemporary Indonesian culture. Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Dear colleagues, I hope this small study can spark deeper, broader, and more comprehensive future research on Japan Indonesian culture exchange through translation. Himawan Sensei,
Thank you, Idrus Sensei. Language and translation studies is a major part in Japanese studies. And I believe Idrus Sensei's research reflects an important development of such studies. Idrus Sensei particularly focuses on major titles for his research, such as Doraemon, One Piece, and Detective Conan. His research shows the complex strategy taken by Indonesian translators in dealing with the variety of onomatopoeia in Japanese language. I think what Idrus Sensei highlighted is the creative process in translating by Indonesian translators. Thus, to use Beng Sensei's words, shows the centrality of local actors or agents in Indonesia-Japan cultural exchanges. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the question and answer session. I'm sure that our three speakers have sparked further curiosity. We have around 5 minutes perhaps for the Q&A session. So if you have any questions or comments, just use the raise hand button, or you can also send your question through the chat box. Okay, please. Okay, anyone, if you have any question? Okay, Sisi Sensei from LIA University, Jakarta, Indonesia. Okay, Sisi Sensei, you may ask your question.
Thank you, Himawan Sensei. My name is Sisi Rahim. I'm from University of LIA in Jakarta. I want to ask Idrus Sensei about the translation of onomatopoeia because in my university, I also teach translation, fiction translation, and I touch the manga translation too. And in my past, when I was just graduate from my bachelor studies, I also translated for about 10 years in Alex Media. And I translated about more than 20 titles, and one of them were 3x3 Eyes, Hazan Eyes. And it was quite hard to translate. It was an adventure manga. And in that particular manga, the writer don't have much more imagination about onomatopoeia. He always use one word to for anything like explosion from when the character fight each other, or when a car broke down, or when a mountain blow up. He only used go 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 for everything. And in that time, we as a translator, we have to use our imagination in what words we have to translate the same go 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 when used as some characters fight each other, or when a mountain blow up. We can use the same word for everything. So when you say that translator analyze what should we use in this kind of explosion, in this kind of rain and everything, we also use our imagination. And then as you said, in Indonesian manga, the writer use the kind of translated onomatopoeia from Japan and from English to express themselves, because without that, we kind of using the traditional language like from Japanese or Sundanese, and when we try to use it, some of the editors kind of say don't use Indonesian traditional language because not everyone in Indonesia understand others. We can use English because it more easily understand from all over Indonesia. That's why when you said we have to use our imagination, we have to analyze the scene to make some word, some make-up word for this kind of onomatopoeia. It's always thought in our mind when we translate the manga. And also, perhaps you can also analyze not only adventure manga, but for the romance manga, shoujo manga, because some of them are, for me, it's more difficult to understand the onomatopoeia, because we can hear an explosion happen. We can hear when someone fight each other, but we cannot hear when someone kind of when someone had kind of like this 解く日本語ではちょっと解くとかじっと見ている in that kind of words, they don't have any sound. 擬態語でしょね。擬態語は音がないので、擬態語 don't have any sounds. That's much more difficult for us to translate because not everyone understand what the word means. And that's what I want to say about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sisi Sensei from Lia University. I think she provided suggestions for further research. Okay, any response, Idrus Sensei?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate how engaged and thoughtful you are, and even in online setting. I also, in my dissertation, I also research about how onomatopoeia in Sojo manga to Indonesian. Maybe I'll share my dissertation to you, so you can check and can read how onomatopoeia in Sojo manga and sport manga from Japanese to Indonesian. About the translation onomatopoeia from Japanese to Indonesian, it is of Indonesian onomatopoeia in the Indonesian language lack of onomatopoeia. Japanese have so many onomatopoeia, so it is difficult for translator to find equivalent works for onomatopoeia. So in my finding in my dissertation, I found that Indonesian translator borrow from English onomatopoeia or transcription Japanese sound, Japanese word. They use Japanese word, but as transcription. And sometimes I found Indonesian translator combine Japanese system and Indonesian language system when translate onomatopoeia. I hope my response to answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sensei, for the response. We are actually running out of time, actually, but anyone who have questions or comments for our presenters? Yes, Elijah. Oh, Elijah. Okay.
Hello, hello, Sensei. My name is Elijah Joshua Benjamin Aban from the University of the Philippines, Asian Center. To be honest, 失礼します。本当に Sensei Tachi. I am very late on joining this session, but of course my question is very simple, and of course this is open to all senseis who have shared their expertise. Um, in what ways do we as Southeast Asians can, re-strategize our, research interests, considering the fact that we all know what's happening right now in the country that we are studying, Japan, is basically shifting towards another wave of, nationalistic and somehow xenophobic tendencies, like in precariousness, and of course in terms of like dangerousness, like us studying Japan. So how do we as researchers, first of all, adapt in this change that is, of course, needed to be anticipated? And of course, secondly, of course, is how do we as researchers, with our research topics and coming from our positions as Southeast Asia, will somehow mitigate this tendency to, help other global scholars also, not only coming from the Southeast Asia, but also from the other parts of the world, which is unfortunately like targeted of this stereotypical and xenophobic remarks coming from, of course, some Japanese people, most likely in social media. I hope my question is very clear. And of course, any response will be very grateful, appreciated. Hontou ni arigatou gozaimasu.
Okay, thank you, Eli. Kitti Sensei, Benji Sensei, Idrus Sensei, would you like to respond?
Well, may I? I think I have a few points to address here. First, I think the phenomenon that happened in Japan nowadays on xenophobia or anti-foreigners, it's very unfortunate. We should also be a part to help mutual understanding more. But I guess the reaction that Japanese society has over foreigners stem from a kind of anti-Chinese, I'm afraid to say, more or less more anti-Chinese dominance, anti-Chinese influence, and less so to Southeast Asia. But of course, still the feeling also towards Southeast Asia as well, because many of us live in Japan, and might not follow their social practices, manner, and so on. And our tourists sometimes the manner somehow. I think it's belong to both sides rather than blaming anyone. We should help make mutual understanding. And our research, our statements can also help. And for our side, we need to somehow educate or socialize our people. Whenever they visit Japan, they live in Japan, how should they behave, and something like that. And Japanese should also understand others, people as well. And secondly, I think there are multiple topics that studying Japan can be beneficial to our countries that we need to be aware on that. Like I have elaborated on social transformation, industrializations, development, many things we can learn from Japan. And another point is that xenophobia, if it happened in our countries, nationalist sentiment, but it not tend to oriented toward the Japanese that much. So far in Southeast Asia, Japan has been enjoy the high trusted status in ASEAN. We usually cite the USOP HR Institute of Southeast Asian Study in Singapore, that they have done the survey, opinion survey every year. So Southeast Asian tend to have positive feeling toward Japan. And in the world nowadays, when the country like United States is quite hostile to many countries. So I think we need to look at country like Japan more than before. In fact, even European Union, we cannot rely on either the US or China in the strategic competition, increasing rivalry. So in any case, I think Japan and ASEAN, Southeast Asia can cooperate and do many things together. Even defense, as I said, but mutual understanding, which used to be a very strong foundations among Japan and Southeast Asia relation. We need to look at that more. We need to take care of that more. We need to maintain that kind of foundations. And I think it depends on our older, younger generation students of Japanese studies to contribute to Japan-Southeast Asia relations, and also to our country in the path of development of our countries and ASEAN. Thank you.
Thank you, Kitti Sensei. Benji Sensei, Idrus Sensei, would you like to respond to Eli's question as well?
Hello, Eli. Long time no see. Yeah, thank you for your good question. I picked on, and I totally agree with what Kitti Sensei said too. And I picked on especially one mention that Elia you have said, which is on social media. So there's one thing that I think we need to be very aware of is like how certain phenomena tend to be unnecessarily over exaggerated, over dramatized. So, I was just like thinking about this, like one poor Chinese woman, about she got some sympathy from me, like who's like kickstart this, like who's caused this huge social media storm on the airplane. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? And this is like, so there's this like often this disproportionate like conveyance or communication of like undesirable image. So this is one thing that I'm always myself always trying to be very careful. But I'm not saying that xenophobia didn't exist. Totally no. It is a serious issue. But I feel that we need to kind of like, maintain a kind of a sharper awareness of how we interact or digest social media informations. So that is totally really just a side comment. What I really wanted to say is that, this is a very difficult time for everyone, like, economically, politically, everything. However, I think we always need to have a little bit of like I think there's a lot of hope, actually, not a little bit, always a lot of hope. And what I my intuitive reaction again is that we absolutely must try our best to keep our cool and keep our own characteristics, but with an open mind. And I always believe that in order to survive or in order to thrive, they are together. Really, we need to collaborate and we need to work together. So we need to like, especially within our region, we are not a big region, and there's a lot of like very interesting, very enriching characteristics amongst, like, all of us. I love our Southeast Asia regions, and I think that our interactions with Japan and in understanding Japan and working with Japan in Japanese studies is very critical, not only like strategically or politically or economically, but also, just as a human experience. I think it is wonderful. So, but my point really is that we need to maintain our positionality for sure, but we need to sort of like be able to open to other people's perspective so that we can adjust and meet everyone midway. But the bottom line is we need to understand that we are in this all together. So we need to work together. Even with whatever project, whatever project really, but we just need to, like, work together. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Benji Sensei. Idris Sensei, would you like to respond?
Okay, I agree with Kitti Sensei and Beng Sensei, and the important thing in doing research is to find research topic that not only useful for us but also for our society. No.
Okay. Thank you, Idris Sensei. Or I'm being reminded by the to remind everyone to confirm your participation by accessing the what's it called? The uh, the link provided in the chat box. So please do so. Okay. With that, I am afraid that I need to close the question and answer session again. Sensei and Idrus Sensei. That I return the lead to our MC, Diki. Diki, onegaishimasu.
Hi,
Sorry.
thank you, Himawan Sensei, and to the other speakers too. Now, as we come to the end of today's session, we would now like to move on to the closing remarks. But before that, we kindly invite all participants to join us for a group photo. If your camera is available and you are comfortable turning it on, we will now start taking the group photo. There will be 3 slides. Please follow my lead for the first slide. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then to the next slide. 1, 2, 3. And to the final slide. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you everybody for your participation in the group photo. Let us now proceed to the closing remarks, which will be delivered by Himawan Pratama Sensei, the head of Center for Japanese Studies, Universitas Indonesia. Himawan Sensei, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you again, Diki. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Center for Japanese Studies and the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia, please let me express my gratitude to all of you today. Special thanks to our three distinguished speakers, Kitti Prasirtsuk Sensei, Beng Sensei, and Idrus Sensei, for sharing their insights on Japanese studies in Southeast Asia. Next month, we will hold the second edition of this series, of which details will be informed by our MC later. We hope that the entire events of the Japanese Studies Research Workshop and Symposium will give clear examples of diversity of Japanese studies and how cross-border network of friendship is built through academic exchanges. Again, thank you everyone for participating today. We look forward to seeing you again at our next events. Thank you. Vicky, the floor is yours again.
Okay, thank you, Himawan Sensei, for the closing remarks. Now, before we officially end today's session, I'd like to share a few brief announcements. Okay, here it is. First, we are excited to announce our upcoming event. That is the 14th Ambassadorial Lecture on Japanese Studies that will be held this Monday, April 27th, with the theme of Japan-Indonesia Partnership. This event is a collaboration between the Department of International Relations, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Indonesia, the Center for Japanese Studies in Universitas Indonesia, and the Embassy of Japan in Indonesia. We are honored to present our distinguished speaker, His Excellency Miyochin Mitsuru, the Charge d'Affaires ad interim of Japan to the Republic of Indonesia. Next. Second, on April 29th, our upcoming book review event, Ibuki Reading Club, will be held in the library of the Center of Japanese Studies and also online through Zoom. In this month's Ibuki, we will be discussing the book titled The Adelphi Series, Evaluating Japan's New Grand Strategy by Robert Ward, with our speaker, Shofwan Albana Khoiruzat, PhD, who will lead the discussion about the book. Next. And third, as Himawan Sensei has said, on the 13th of May 2026, we will be having our next session of the online seminar series, Japanese Studies in Southeast Asia, with other scholars who will be eager to share their insight with all of us. For May, we will be having Ron Bridget Philok Sensei from De La Salle University, Hafiz Hashim Sensei from University of Brunei Darussalam, and Ayu Azaria Sensei from Hasanuddin University, who will be presenting their insights on Japanese studies. I hope you have joined us today. May join us in the next session. Next. Lastly, we warmly invite you to the International Japanese Studies Research Workshop and Symposium 2026, which will take place on August the 14th until the 5th of 2026 at the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. On-site and online participation will be available. We look forward for your participation. And next. And finally, please stay connected with us through our social media channels and official website for the latest updates on our program and activities. Now we hope to see you again in our next session and our next event. Honjitsu no semina ni go sankai itadaki makoto ni arigatou gozaimashita. Jikai no ibento ni go sanka o kokoro kara omachi shite orimasu. Mata oishimashou.
Thank you, Diki. Thank you, Kitti Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Idrus Sensei. Oh, Koike-san from the Japan Foundation is also here. Koike-san, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Himawan. Bye.
Thank you, Kitti Sensei. See you again.
Yeah, thank you. See you
Thank you,
again.
Sensei.
Right.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you so much.
Panitia.
Terima kasih.
Lebih dulu.
Terima kasih.